back in action, attacking your speakers from the field to the bleachers. This is the Power 32 podcast, baby. My name is Jason Fearman, a.k.a. the Sports Prophet, a.k.a. the Smart Guy, along with my smart-ass co-host, Mr. Kenny Culp. What is up, my brother?
Chilling. Getting through that work week. Waiting for Sunday.
I know you arrived a little late today. You know, you're going to get some demerits for that one. That's all right. We'll let you slide. It's the first time. It's the first time for everything.
All
it's
good.
all right.
Get the double 10 points.
We'll still get the show in. We're all good. We're ready to freaking roll over here. Week 14 begins tonight, heading into fantasy football playoffs, bro. And that's kind of a problem because there's got 6 teams that are off this week. Buys. Yeah. Dude, the NFL's got to do something about that, Kenny. You can't be having 6 teams having a bye in week 14. Why? Do the bye weeks between week 6 and week 10? You can fit it all in there somehow, some way. I think it's crazy.
That's really late, in my opinion. It's nice for those teams, I guess. Do you have the teams? Do you have the teams written down, or do you see?
I do, in fact. It's the Ravens, so people are going to be missing Lamar. This is the week where you're looking to get into the playoffs. There are people in the balance right now, right? So the playoffs usually start, now that there are 18 weeks, it starts week 15. So here you go. We have the Ravens, so no Derrick Henry, no Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, right? The Broncos. I mean, not really too many guys on there, I guess. So you're not.
Well, you got Sutton and you got Knicks at least.
I guess so.
The defense is helpful.
The defense. I'm sure their defense is starting somewhere for some team that is good. The Texans. So you're missing C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, even Tank Dell, maybe if you got him.
I was going to say the same thing. Tank Dell, if you were really hurting.
Yeah, if you need him. I mean, you need him.
You got him. He can give you 10 points. He can give you 10 points, and if you need those 10 points,
and he has. Yeah. A friend of mine played, he was on, I think it was FanDuel, and he played where, you only pick 5 players in one fantasy game, so it's a one-game thing. Dude won, I think it was $6,000 or something like that. Tank Dell was the only Houston Texan he picked out of all the Jets. It was going back a month or 2 ago, whatever it was, but he freaking killed it. I love it.
Hey, man, good for him. Well, you know what I would do with $6,000?
You know what I could do with $6,000? That's like half my year's salary.
It would help me out so much.
Yeah, you kidding me, man? I need it right now. God, I could list off the problems I have right now. I go through my budget. I can use it. God. Well, the Colts also. So no Jonathan Taylor, no Michael Pittman, no Anthony Richardson, because people are probably playing him now, right? The Patriots. I mean, maybe you're playing Drake May, Hunter Henry. I know you love him. You got a man crush on him, hardcore. You really do.
I drafted him. I drafted that guy.
You love Hunter Henry more than anybody I've ever met in my life. You've mentioned him on our show since week 1. I swear to God.
I did. And the man has been giving you like 9 to 12 points on a regular basis. And it's crazy. Austin Hooper, the backup, is starting to get looks too.
Hoopa.
Drake May likes to slang that thing.
He does, man. He's a good quarterback. I think they got 1, 2, 3 right. Maybe not exactly in the right order, but Caleb Williams.
Oh, man, what a great they also picked up Gonzalez at cornerback. That was a while. I'm just saying it wasn't, very nice picks.
They usually make good picks, but they're just not winning. They got a problem. They can't generate.
And that's too bad because their chance this year in that division was winnable.
As it turned out to be, where the Jets and Miami are not as good as anybody thought, really.
Buffalo's taking control, but you might have snuck in there if you had a good year. If you're New England,
freaking Buffalo, man, they sort of kicked the shit out of us last week. Those freaking
Bears.
I knew that was going to happen.
We knew.
It was a fact. I mean, it was the first time the whole year I picked against San Francisco. I'm like, I have to. I can't take it anymore.
It was also for me. Also, I picked against.
Yeah, man. It sucks doing that, but whatever. Got to face reality. And the last team is the Commanders. So, no Jaden Daniels, no Brian Robinson, no Terry McLaurin. So Ravens, Broncos, Texans, Colts, Patriots, Commanders, all off. You're going to have to do some fantasy football managing this week.
And those are some good teams that are getting a late bye. That's very helpful,
man. And that's helpful. You're damn right. For those teams like the Ravens, the Broncos, the Texans, the Commanders, they're all playoff teams right there. And the Colts may be a playoff team. It's possible.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Look at that shit worked out. So speaking of fantasy, bro, let me run this by you real quick before we talk about the game tonight. So I'm already locked in one league. I'm in first place. I can't be caught. I'll have a bye in that league. I don't even need to go over that. But the league that I'm in 5th place in right now, and the top 6 make it, obviously. Let me tell you my lineup real quick. Jordan Love, Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, I have DK Metcalf, but he's questionable. If he plays, I'm going to play him, but
Listen, not only that, the man is racking up like 4 catches a game, and it's just not working right now. He's getting
It's
like
not
between
working that great.
9,
So
12 points, 14 if you're lucky.
that's why, because listen to this, and I hate to do this, but San Francisco's defense has been shit lately, especially the secondary. And Keenan Allen, he may not play. I may go with Rome Odunze. I know that sounds kind of nuts, but I think it's a good matchup. And I hate to do that, but it's a good matchup. Anyway,
Yeah,
to close it out, I actually am starting 3 tight ends this week: Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, and George Kittle. I'm going to play the Titans defense against Jacksonville over my Chargers defense against KC. But on my bench, I do have Travis Etienne. Ladd McConkey is questionable. He's hurt all over the place. And then there's DeAndre Hopkins. And I don't want to start Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, and DeAndre Hopkins against the Chargers defense. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So I don't know. I'm stuck. Like, I mean, DK Metcalf, I hope that he's healthy. I'd rather start him. I would feel better. But I don't know. Rome Odunze, do you think I would get points at him?
I'm not a fan of Rome Odunze, and I said this at the beginning of the year. I hated what number he was drafted. I mean, I feel like you can get a wide receiver way later. Yeah. And they could use that 9th pick for something a little better, but that's okay. I'm hearing the news, too, and the chatter about him. He's looking good. He has a good matchup. He's not a bad wide receiver. No. I just don't really like the Bears, and I don't like Caleb, and I don't like their offense, and their defense is supposed to be good, too, and I'm not really feeling it. I'm not really seeing it. I actually think this week we got a chance against them. So I got to be honest with you. I just don't respect the Bears, and that might be my thing. Like, I may not be seeing it.
Look, Eberflus is gone. I'm not saying that's going to change everything, but that guy definitely cost them at least 2 or 3 ball games this year.
Well, I know we know one of, well, at least one. I know
one for sure. And the one with the blocked field goal, they could have got a much easier, closer shot. Maybe things are different on that one. His coaching decisions and clock management have been horrible. I mean, he's rivaling Mike McCarthy in that area. Absolutely.
What do you think about the Hail Mary? Is that his fault? I'm not being a dick.
Again, no. That's not his fault. I mean, honestly, that is a fluke. Despite that defensive player going off and waving to everybody,
even that, like,
it didn't even matter.
Of you getting a Hail Mary is ridiculous. So I don't blame it on the guy who was talking shit on the sideline, because he could. I mean, even he got a hand on it, but that's just all random at that point. No,
doubt. And that's my point in this whole thing is that I think the Bears are better than what their record is. They're 4-8, I believe.
Well, I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So
I don't love the Bears.
It's not going to be an easy game, but they play in a tough division. They're last in the division. We know that the Lions rule that division. They are roaring right now. And when it comes to Green Bay and Minnesota, they're all going to be in the playoffs. It's just a matter of
which we said that.
Spot. Yeah, we are. You know what? I think maybe you said that.
Yeah, I said from that division. You called Philly for the Super Bowl.
I did call Philly for the Super Bowl. Yeah, and
which
right now I feel pretty good about that.
Great job.
So far, so good with that one. But we'll see. But for tonight's game, the Packers are 9-3. Lions are 11-1. Lions are at home in this game. So I feel like this game is more important to Detroit for a few reasons. And you give me your opinion. One is I think they need home field advantage more than any of the other teams because they play in a dome, because they've only played one outdoor game this entire year. You don't want them going to Philadelphia, right?
You're exactly right. They played 14 out of 17 games this year in a dome.
There you go. So point exactly. So they need home field advantage, I think, more than any other team. Also, they're expected to win now, but it's not like last year. It was like, oh, shit, wow, look what the Lions did. Now it's like, no, the Lions are really good. They're 11-1. They haven't lost since week 2 against Tampa Bay. All right, so for all the talk that Philly's getting and everybody else, which is well-deserved, I mean, the Lions are still doing their thing despite losing Aiden Hutchinson and having 13 players from defense on IR, 18 altogether when you include the offense.
That's insane. I mean, I didn't know that it was that many, but here's what I do know is that when Hutchinson went out, they got better at defense.
They actually kind of believe that. You're right. In a weird way, they did. It's like they started scoring less points, so people attributed that to Aiden Hutchinson somehow, which is not him.
They adjusted and turned into another team.
They're still playing all right.
Big Bates was struggling, and that's the only problem because we know. I don't know. Maybe we don't know, but if people don't know, they've had problems with the kicker. And getting the kicker this year was a big deal about that. Just getting a kicker alone that was decent was going to get them some wins this year. And Bates has had his issues. So
man, they've struggled with injuries. They really have. But they do have rhythm and bruise, as you know, I like to call them over there. Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery. I mean, them against Josh Jacobs, I think that's the key tonight. But my question to you is, before we get into all that, as we concentrate on this game for a moment, is who do you think has more pressure on them to win tonight, the 9-3 Packers or the 11-1 Lions? Now, I think it's the Lions for the reason I mentioned. I think they really need home field. And the Packers probably even if they win this game, most likely are going to be a wild card team anyway.
I don't think that Green Bay is good enough to beat Detroit. That's my opinion. And they're not even home, the Packers, right?
So the game's in Detroit. Detroit already beat them in Green Bay. It was a really good game, but Detroit won the game.
I think being home is going to be the difference. I think they're just going to score more points. I think that the Packers have kind of like come down a little bit, and you always have that Love interception possibility.
Yeah. Yes, he does turn the ball over.
Yeah, so I think we've said this other weeks. This comes down to Jacobs. If Jacobs can run all over them, then I think Green Bay has a chance.
Well, speaking of that, I do have a couple of prop bets out there right now for this game, and one of them does involve the running backs. Josh Jacobs, over or under 68.5 yards?
I think for someone like Jacobs, I feel like 68 is an over, absolutely above.
So do I. And they got David Montgomery at 59.5 yards, maybe a little high, but I feel like he gets more of the run plays than Jahmyr Gibbs does. And Green Bay's got a pretty good defense, not great. So I feel like he can do that also. I don't know. What do you think?
Here's why I don't think. He doesn't need to. He's not really that guy. No. Jahmyr does those funny little, those moves and gets like a 13, 15, 17-yard runs here and there. Montgomery's like a 5, 6, 7-yarder tops, but he will run over you. So he's not going to be running around you trying to miss you. He's going to go right through you. And so I think he can be under that and still have 2 touchdowns.
That's possible. Well, that's why he's the bruise and Jahmyr Gibbs is the rhythm.
And you know that, and I think we've seen it in the stats. Like we've seen where like Montgomery will have 40, 50 yards, but have 2 touchdowns.
Well, we will see. I think it'll be a running game, and that's why I think the game will go under 51.5 points, because I think that they'll take some time off the clock. Yeah, I think they're going to score, but by the time the bell rings over there, I think that the Lions
could be more defense. It could be more running. It could be a clock could be running the whole game. You watch games sometimes in the clock. It's like, why? There's 3 minutes in the third quarter already. How the hell did that happen? Like,
I know.
If you're running, if you're not converting on third down and you're catching it but not getting the first down, that clock's going to run another 30 seconds. Another 30 seconds. You got to punt it. Then you got to stop. You got to come back. And the clock just disappears. And I know you love fantasy. I love fantasy. We play fantasy. So I know you've been sitting there watching your boy need 10 points or something, and the clock is just gone. It's just disappearing before your eyes, and you're like, Jesus, he had 9 points in the first quarter, and he hasn't scored in 2 quarters. Am I going to get this? And so, you know what I'm talking about.
But sometimes I hate betting the under because in the fourth quarter, with like 5 minutes left, 4
garbage time stuff, and then someone picks off a 30-yard run.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, I picked this game perfect. I know what I'm talking about. No, at the end of the game, 3 touchdowns just out of nowhere. Give me a 3.
You're probably right, because there's those late portions of the game where like you're playing someone, right? And you're like, oh, I got this shit. It's in the bag. And then he rips off a 35-yard run or a 35-yard short pass. So he gets the reception and he gets the 35 yards and you lose by 0.5. And it's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And you're like, why the F is Amon St. Ra in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left and they're up 21 points? And you're like, what the F?
That's what I'm saying. He better get the ball a lot tonight. I got him in both of my leagues.
So you might be right about going about over. I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, that's not a lot of yards, we know, for a guy.
No, it's certainly possible. There's no question about it. And
I'll leave that shit up to you because, I don't bet for money, but I would like to help. I just don't want to be responsible.
Nah, that's all right. I'll always listen to opinions. Maybe somebody will say something.
I like to listen to everybody's and then come up with my own ending to the story.
There you go. Got to get as much information as you can. All right, let's give you guys a little information right now. We're going to do some power rankings before we get into the rest of the games and do our freaky fantasy football draft. We're going to do a speeded up version a little bit of the power rankings. Kenny, let me give you mine real quick. I'm going to go with the Lions still first. I'm still loving what they're doing. Again, despite the injuries, they have not lost since week 2. I like the Bills number 2, Eagles 3, Chiefs 4, and Steelers 5. I got the Vikings, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Packers, all on the outside looking in. But again, it's Lions, Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, Steelers. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah?
I don't know if I have the same, but I
what do you have? What would you go? Who would be your number 1 team right now?
right now, then my number one team in the AFC, I'll start there, is the Bills.
Okay.
I really
Now,
like the Bills with Allen not doing the interceptions and the massive turnovers this year. It's a big advantage for him. So I went him over the Ravens. The Ravens are my number 2, believe it or not.
The Ravens are your 2, really?
Ravens are and I know the problems they have, but what people don't understand is that even with their bad defensive backs and the amount of yards they give up passing, they are sneakily good at rushing the quarterback when they want to. When they want to pressure the quarterback, they do it, and they get sacks doing it. They get a ton of sacks doing it, but it's like a dig-in stat, right? It's not just sacks. It's like it's a situational. So it's when they want to get you, when they want to blitz, when they rush more than 4, they get in there and apply massive pressure. So that stat is there. I think Swagu, whatever his name is, talked about it.
Yeah,
he's black dude with glasses. He's on First Take.
Yeah, Swagu, Marcus Spears.
There you go. So he was talking about that, and he pointed out, and then I watched them in the game after he said that shit, and he was absolutely right. And so that stat is a good stat to remember. So,
okay, I mean, stats wonderful and everything, but I saw Philadelphia go into their house and manhandle them. I mean, they were down 9-0 in the beginning, and then Philadelphia just took control of that game. So I can't see how Baltimore's better than the Eagles. Because
I think they got an easier chance of getting to the Super Bowl. That's really what I think. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think it's going to be harder for the Ravens to beat, Allen or Kansas City, is what I'm saying.
Look, all right. In the NFC, the 2 contenders probably are the Lions and Eagles. I mean, you want to throw the Packers in there, maybe. They got a chance if they get really hot and Jordan Love doesn't turn the ball over. But in the AFC, like you mentioned, the Bills, I think they're the best AFC team. The Chiefs can win. The Steelers can win. In your opinion, the Ravens can win. I'm not so sure about the Texans and Chargers, but they'll be tough outs. I don't know. I think the AFC path is a little bit tougher, especially for Baltimore, because Baltimore may not even win. They're probably not going to win the division. They're going to be a wild card team.
You think? Well, the Chiefs have won a Super Bowl from that position before.
Well, Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback. That's a different story.
And Lamar's very likely going to get MVP again, whether he deserves it or not. I see that happen.
Right now, it looks like it's Josh Allen and Saquon. Lamar kind of fell off a little bit, even though he should.
It changes every week.
It does. If he has a great week they're not playing this week. But if the
Rams beat Allen this week, they'll be like, oh, well, that's the end of Allen being because it's just one thing. So you had Purdy last year with, I think, like 20 out of 21 QB stat leader, right? And then he lost one game to the Ravens, and nobody talked about him ever again. Yeah, his entire season disappeared because he threw 3 or 4 interceptions.
And you are right how it does change from game to game. I totally agree, and especially at the end of the year, because remember Lamar Jackson winning that award last year, and he should not have. As great as Lamar
I thought it was CMC easy again. He beat out CMC 2 years in a row, but 2 years that they both competed for that MVP, and he got it both times because he's the quarterback. Here's why I like the McCaffrey. You know Lamar's record against the NFC.
Yeah, he's great against them. But
it's disgusting. And so, while I think the Buffalo is the best team in football right now, which might be a wild take because they don't have a great run defense. They don't really have an amazing defense. They have been playing very well recently, though, Buffalo's D. So I got Buffalo 1. I got Ravens 2, like I said, because Lamar owns the NFC. What's up, David?
You keep saying that. They just got their ass kicked by Philly.
After that, I would go Philly. Then I would go Philly, and I would go Detroit. Those would be my top 4.
All right. Well, we definitely
I would put the Steelers 5. I put the Packers 6, if you can believe that. No, I like Seattle at number 7. And I don't know if you remember, I liked Seattle last year better than Detroit. I went into a big thing about that last year because of their schedules. The Detroit schedule was cake. The Seattle schedule was very tough. So Seattle 7. Chiefs 8.
Wow, I don't know what kind of drugs you do, man. I don't know you that well. I'm
not... Chargers 9. Okay.
I'm all right.
And listen to number 10. Tampa Bay.
I'm fine with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a great team. They're not a great team. They're a really good team. I got them at 12. But you're nuts.
I'm a wild man.
Yeah, you really are. You are. I mean.
Just ask David.
You are being a smart ass right now and trying to live up to your name, but I am really surprised by your rankings right there. Not to say that mine are set in stone perfect, like that's exactly what it is, but yours?
Hey, if we say the same thing, everyone's going to be bored.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we don't rehearse anything. We know that.
We really don't. We don't talk all week. That's why.
Did I even hear you say the Vikings? Did you mention Minnesota at all?
I don't like Minnesota. I've seen their defense. Their defense have fallen off every game. They've been worse and worse. Sam Darnold is nobody I'm going to rely on for anything. Aaron Jones, not a fan. And
yeah, I definitely want what
you're Ty Chandler's horrible. So if you have to play Ty Chandler, you have to. Oh, they got Cam Akers now, so I'll give them that. But yeah, Chandler was not a good backup. He was not this like great player that people stashed in week 2 of the. You know what I'm saying? Like it was.
What about Aaron Jones?
I said I don't really like Aaron Jones. I never really liked Aaron Jones.
All right. I mean, he's not a consistent 100-yard rusher.
I let the Chargers in there because I know Dobbins is gone, and that's a lot of the reason why they were doing very well. Even though Herbert usually does very well at the end of the year, every season that he's played, at the end of the year he goes off. Having Dobbins also was the game changer, I think. But now they got nobody at running back. Gus Edwards is a joke. No offense, sorry, Gus Edwards.
They're going with that other guy. I'm not even sure what his name is right now off the top of my head.
Kamani Vidal.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, okay. And he's very good. He's very good, but I don't think he's going to be J.K. Dobbins good. And so I don't know if you noticed this. I talked about Will Dissly a lot in the last few weeks, and he had gone off. But then, guess how many catches and points he had last week with no Dobbins?
Oh, probably what?
0.
Jeez.
From 19 points fantasy to 0. Not a catch. Because there's no more JK out there. Is that JK Dobbins or JK Dobbins? Right?
Yeah, JK Dobbins, yeah.
And so without Dobbins, there's just no.
In that league I was telling you about, he was one of my fantasy running backs, and he had been saving me all year with James Cook, and now I have the results of either.
People were just waiting for him to get hurt, but we got lucky. Not me, because I don't have him, but you. People got lucky.
Nah, well. Luck only gets us so much now. That's the way it is. All right, so those are our power rankings. Very different, but take them as you like them, and we'll get some feedback from you guys afterwards. I'd love to hear it.
They're not going to like my Seattle pick. Was probably the
Seattle. No, that one threw me off. I was a little shocked by that one. I mean,
their defense. Dig in the defense. I would say Geno. People love Geno, but I'd say he's why they're not going to win anything. But people love him anyway.
Jets almost beat them last week, for God's sake. Jeez.
Yeah, you're right. But you know that the Jets could be good if they want. It's just like ridiculous. You picked them to finish first in that division, so I know. They didn't really even lose anybody, so it's just mind blowing. You want to talk about crazy? The Jets are a disaster as always, but they shouldn't have been. So I call them a money laundering organization because it's not a real team. Not a real team.
Total train wreck. They're poorly managed. It's no good. I mean, the thing is that they do get good players. They're poorly coached more than anything.
That's one of the things why I think they're a laundering organization, because they bring over good players. They have good coaches sometimes, but they still don't do well. And it's like they're just giving you something to watch, something. You have to have something, or nobody would even watch the Jets. So if you bring over someone like Rex Ryan, and you have Revis Island there, it's interesting but
he wants that job, man. He wants that job real bad. Rex Ryan does. He's talked about it.
He wants it back. Does he want to go back to the Jets?
Oh, he's not joking. He's not making. This isn't like a game to him. He's telling the Jets straight up.
The Niners instead.
Hire me.
Come to the Niners instead, and Kyle can be OC.
At least for defense, yeah.
And then maybe we bring back Saleh, put him at DC. So you got Shanny at OC, Saleh at DC, and Rex Ryan as your head coach. I would take that.
All right.
Shanahan, I'm the kind of guy that if you said that to me, if you're we're gonna bring in Rex Ryan, I'm like, can I stay on as OC? I would love that shit.
Yeah, right.
And if he left, you could put me back in HC. I don't have a problem with this shit. I don't have that ego. You know what I mean? I'd be let's win. If that's gonna be a win, then let's do it.
I think Rex Ryan still has got what it takes, man. I think he's a damn good coach. So why not get a guy like
supposedly Belichick also wants to come back. I've heard Giants. I've heard.
You know what I've heard actually? All right, there's actually a recent report out. Speaking of Belichick, he's interviewed with North Carolina officials about the school's head coaching opening. North Carolina. Now, I did not see that coming. I didn't see anything in college happening. I don't see him as a recruiter at 70 years old.
But you know what kids do? Kids listen, though.
Yeah, they listen.
Kids do what you tell them for the most part. NFL players don't give a shit.
But even Nick Saban had enough at some point. I don't know. Nick Saban's got to be in his year. I would be thinking, yo, man.
Yeah, George Teague talked about that shit. Imagine not having Saban in Alabama. How weird is that shit?
Yeah, it's very weird. And it's not working out for them right now, even though they will make the college playoffs. We don't talk about college too much on this show. Actually, we don't talk about college at all because we don't really.
No, we don't. But you know what? I have a friend who knows a lot about college. So if we want to do a show about that,
maybe we will. Maybe we'll throw one in there. Well, let's throw in our freaky fantasy football draft, and then we'll make our picks for the week. There are 13 games. First one going on tonight, Packers and Lions. But let's see if we pick anybody from that game. So let's do this thing. We got quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and
well, do you remember how we did last year? Last week?
2 weeks ago. I don't have the score in front of me. I think you won, so you're going to go first. But I don't remember what the score was.
I may have just won. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I know I had Kittle and I had Bucky.
I'm going to pretend like you won because I don't care because we're going to start a new week and just go from there. So you have your pick from quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense. You can go anywhere you want.
Okay. Let's see what we're going to do this week. How about I'll go wild since I've been going wild takes today. Let me go Kyler Murray, which is not like a super solid start this week, but I'm going to go with it because they're in Arizona. They already lost to Seattle once this year, and it's in conference, in division. So I think it could be some weird stuff going on in there. And if Kyler can be mobile, which he hasn't really been this year, I think he can beat Seattle, and we need them to beat Seattle, don't we?
Yeah.
Or do we need Seattle to win? I thought we needed Arizona to win.
I think that Seattle's in first right now. So overall, we need Seattle to lose. But I mean, really, we need them all to lose at this point. Last time they played,
Rams could totally lose to the Bills, and one of those teams lose. So if Arizona beats Seattle, we're one game back if we beat the Bears.
All right, so Arizona played Seattle a couple of weeks ago. I remember, and the score was 13-3. Seattle won. So I don't really
because
think
of a pick six that Murray threw. Wasn't even any scoring by either.
That's what I'm saying. There wasn't any scoring. I don't think that's going to be the same thing this time around. I think there'll be a little more scoring. So I don't think that Kyler is a terrible pick. I'll make my pick right now, and we're gonna go with a guy who I think is going to get the ball a lot. We talked about him earlier, Josh Jacobs. So I'm going to take him for my running back, and I get a second pick as we snake around this one. So I think that he'll get his considerable yardage, and I think that A.J. Brown will get a lot of yards against Carolina for Philadelphia this week. So he'll be my wide receiver.
Yeah, that's probably true. A.J. Brown is really the guy there, man. They just throw to him every time.
Yeah, he's the man. Yeah,
that's
Devontae Smith's not fully healthy, so A.J. Brown, he's the man. He's honestly, I mean, Saquon makes that offense go probably more than anybody. A.J. Brown, when he's there, they do not lose. That team does not lose when he plays. It's a weird stat. It's crazy. All right, so I got Jacobson and A.J. Brown. You started off with Kyler Murray. Now you get 2 picks.
Okay. Let me have Travis Kelce this week.
Okay.
Tight end.
Sense against the Chargers.
I expect him to be doing very well this week. I'm thinking about 5 or 6 targets, maybe 4 or 5 catches, thinking like 60 yards, a touchdown, maybe 2. I actually think that Noah Gray, the backup tight end, may even have touchdowns in that game.
They're throwing the ball to him.
Yeah, they're throwing him the ball. Last 2 weeks, he's had decent. Well, last 3 weeks, I think he's had some good numbers. 2 were better than the third week, but still putting up. Literally making a case that he is a startable TE1 low like back end TE1 top like front end TE2 he's on the border there even with Kelce on the team.
But you're going with Kelce, obviously. We say what's up. SFA.
John Jay, thank you so much for showing up, man. We're so glad that you can make it. John works during the day. He's a gym teacher. And so he can't always make it. I'm so glad that he.
I know the life of a gym teacher. I'm with you on that one. Give me 1 second.
Thanks for showing up, John Jay. Appreciate it, dude.
Sorry about that. Had to make sure the dog was all right. He was making some weird noise over there. We're all good. All right. So, love having you boys in here, man. It's a beautiful thing. All right. So, you got Kyler and Kelce. So, now you got between wide receiver, running back, defense. You can go anywhere you want.
Okay, so I picked Bucky Irving, and he got 30 points, so I can't do that again.
That worked out real well for you, brother.
Here's what I'm going to do. Pollard. I'm giving some weird names this week. Okay, but I like the matchup against Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to run the ball a lot, and Tajay Spears nowhere to be seen. Another guy that was stashed early on a lot of teams, and people were like, oh, well, that was fun.
Pollard's going to get a lot of touches. I like that call right there. I do agree. Go. Yeah, that's a good call. All right, so right now you got Kyler, Pollard, and Kelce. My first 2 picks were Josh Jacobs and A.J. Brown. I'm going to go with right now. I get 2 picks. I got quarterback, quarterback, tight end, and defense. I will take, you know what? Tonight, I'm going to take Sam Laporta.
Oh, that sounds like an easy one. Yeah, nice one.
Yep, I think he's going to get the ball between him and, Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably a light. He's a receiver I used last week against you, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. So I go with Laporta for my tight end, and I'm going to go with, you know what? Since I got A.J. Brown, I'm going to match him up with Jalen Hurts.
Okay, that is nice.
So I'll combo those 2 guys. Now you get to close out your team with your
wide receiver and defense, I think, right? Yeah. Wide receiver and defense. Okay, check this out. I'm going to keep getting weird on everybody. T. Higgins this week. T. Higgins to go off.
Against Dallas, Monday Night Football. All right, we're going to pick that game a little bit later. T. Higgins, not Jamar Chase, but T. Higgins. All right, I like it.
T. Higgins time,
Very
finally.
sneaky.
I think it's about time that the T. Higgins owners get rewarded for their patience.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
And then my defense for this week, it's fourth quadrant time. And I think you know what that means. It's when you have to pick players who aren't like the starters to get you your points in fantasy because the starters are starting to get rested. And so for D, I know this is wild, and they got like 9 fantasy points the last 4 weeks, but I'm going to go New Orleans over to the New Orleans D playing the Giants.
Yeah.
So we all know the disaster that the Giants are.
That's a pretty good matchup right there. I like that.
That's not a given, that pick, but I like it this week. New Orleans taking care of the Giants. Sorry, YTC. He's not watching, but he's another guy who might pop up.
All right. The last time these 2 teams played, the Browns got the better of the Steelers, and they put up a few points. I think the Steelers have learned their lesson, and they're going to absolutely dismantle Jameis Winston in that offense. So
you can't let that man throw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's insane.
Now, Steelers are going to come out there with some major pride with this game, and I really think they're going to put it on them. And again, they're looking to hopefully get a bye, which is very unlikely with Kansas City 11-1, Buffalo at 10-2, and they're at 9-3. I believe.
Jesus, Kansas City! Don't remind me.
It's amazing.
Don't even remind me of that.
Nobody talks about them, and they are just chilling there.
It's amazing. They're 11-1. They're not a good team.
They are a good team. I don't want to hear that. I don't care how they win. It doesn't matter.
Just win.
They're a great team.
Doesn't matter how you win, just that you win. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But they are not blowing anyone away. They're not doing anything great, and they are 11-1. They are proof that you do not need 11 All-Pros.
No, you definitely don't. And, again, they've been losing guys and bringing this one
picking wide receivers off the street and making them all-stars for a week.
Now Pacheco is back. I think that's going to really help them. All right, so here we go.
And Hunt, 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
You got Hollywood Brown coming back. You got Hopkins. You got Smith-Schuster. That shit is – listen, don't sleep just because those names have been asleep for a little while.
I'm not sleeping on them. And again, they're still going to probably have home field advantage. The road is going to go through Kansas City most likely, unless they lose another game. Possible? Sure. They may lose they can lose to the Chargers this weekend. And we're going to talk about that coming up right now. We're going to pick
they only beat the Chargers the last time by 7 points. I think it was 17-10, I think was
They always play close games. Always. It's always a field goal, maybe a touchdown tops. They always play close games.
Again, the Dobbins thing, I hope it doesn't affect them, but I think it's going to majorly affect them.
I think it's going to be a problem. He's not due to come back until week 17. They're going to make the playoffs, and if he's healthy for the playoffs, then that's great. They're not going to win the division. They're going to be a wild card team as it is. So if they can make it through without Dobbins for now, then I think when he comes back for the playoffs, that'll help out a lot. But yeah, these other guys got to step up. And it's not like Justin Herbert has got a whole bunch of dudes to throw to. It's Quentin Johnson drops the ball. Joshua Palmer doesn't even get that many looks.
No, 3 catches a game.
Latin McConkey's a baller, but he's hurt right now. So I don't even know if he's going to play.
And that's been the thing all year with every team, man. I want to watch good football. I'm sick of these injuries, man. I don't want to be missing stars. I want to see the best out there.
And we got a lot of injuries tonight, man. And that's the game we're going to pick first. We've been talking about it. Packers at Lions. I've been talking up the Lions. Like I said, they need home field advantage. They need it. They want it. They're expected to win now. They got rhythm and bruise over Josh Jacobs. I liked it. I'm going to go with the Lions, man, at home. They need this game, I think, more than the Packers do, even though I'm sure the Packers are going to come out fighting. But I think it'll be a close game, something like 27-24.
I agree. It could be close. If the Packers were home, I may feel differently, even though they already lost that game. I'm taking the Lions. The Lions are nasty. The Lions and the Eagles are just disgusting, and I'm going to give it up to them. I'm not going to be hating.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised to see anybody else in the NFC Championship. Even though, again, I'm with you on giving the Packers a slight possibility because they could get hot.
Tampa's gonna get in there. I'm telling you, Atlanta's
They'll
losing.
be in. They'll be in. They'll be in, and they will make noise as long as Jordan Love doesn't turn the ball over. The Dolphins are trying
to watch in the playoffs. Baker will be a mess in the playoffs. I bet you anything. But you know,
our next game is Jets and Dolphins. The Dolphins are trying to make the playoffs at 5-7. Not likely to happen with the Broncos up there ahead of them, the Chargers up there ahead of them, and also Baltimore. So there you go. Jets visiting Miami, man. What do you think?
This is one of those games where Miami should easily win, but the Jets are this team that we just talked about. They're a good team. They have good players. They can win. They just aren't. I'm still going to take Miami, but this is a game Jets could win. They could easily win this game. And I would say because of the Dolphins' defense, this might be the problem. That might be the only problem.
Dolphins defense has been playing better.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They've been playing very good as of late. And so that's why I'm saying that's the only thing that I can see that could be the problem for Miami. Well, and a Tua concussion, but
all right. Well, look, if the Jets knew how to win games, they'd be better than 3-9 this year. Not again that Miami's got some great record of 5-7, but when Tua plays, that offense does well, and Devon Achane has been running the ball really well with Raheem Mostert.
And it's very hard to run or pass against the Jets, and I don't think it's going to matter. The guy's
I like Miami in this game. I agree with you. I'm going Miami as well. Our next game is Falcons and Vikings. The great return of Kirk Cousins to Minnesota. What a freaking joke.
Revenge game.
Told you all year long, I'm like, Kirk Cousins is not the freaking savior. We might even see Michael Penix before you know it, bro. I mean, geez.
I would love that. Yeah.
And that pick would look really good as opposed to half the country questioning it and being like, what the hell are you doing? Well,
listen, one of my fourth quadrant guys, these are not that he's a fourth quadrant guy, but he's on my waivers right now. Mooney, right? Mooney from Atlanta. And I want to pick him up. I want to so bad. But Cousins has made it impossible for me to do that. And so I'm just trying to wait and see. Maybe like somebody goes on IR on my tier, something I could just pick him up. But Mooney is sitting there on waivers. He's one of the best wide receivers this year, first half of the season. And now there's nobody to throw him the ball. So if Penix can get in there and get it to Pitts and to Mooney and London, that'd be great. But
it's always weird when a new quarterback comes in, they have chemistry with different receivers.
Right.
You know? Like I remember Joe Flacco coming in last year, with Cleveland, and he made like Donovan Peoples-Jones or whatever, like a freaking superstar.
Right. We haven't heard his name this year, and now this year you got like Judy going off, you got Winston going off, you got Elijah Moore going off, Tillman going off. I'm
a little surprised that Judy had come on a little bit late, but he's doing a good job. All right, we both are on this game with the Falcons going to Minnesota right now. I am going to take Minnesota, not by a lot. I think this will be a close game, another field goal game that Minnesota is going to pull out. They keep winning these close ones, so I think they do it again at home, bro.
Yeah, there's no way I can go with the Falcons right now. After last week, I know those games happen when you throw 3 or 4 interceptions. We've seen Brock Purdy do it. He's been fine after, but Cousins just looks like he has no arm strength. He has no athleticism, and he does not belong out there right now, in my opinion.
That pick 6 he threw last week on the sideline was a nightmare. I mean, they could have won the game and they lost the game because of that. That's how it went. So Cousins is not playing great football right now. Neither are the Saints or the Giants, but they are playing each other this week. And I don't really have to go into this one too much. I think Alvin Kamara, getting the ball, Taysom Hill, if he plays, will play a part. The Giants.
No, I think Taysom is gone for the entire year. We set a candle out. Really? We put a candle out for him.
That's too bad, man. Because
but listen, they got Moreau. I forgot the
but I love watching that guy play. It's fun.
And Justin Johnson or Josh Johnson or what's
Jawan Johnson?
Jawan Johnson, who will get you 8 targets this week. Promise you.
Probably
8 targets at least.
They got quarterback issues, but so do the Giants. I don't like this game. I think that the Saints defense is better. They should be able to run the ball better, even though I like Tracy. He can play. But I think overall the Saints may have the edge over the Giants. They're a 4-point favorite. I wouldn't lay the points, but I will take the Saints.
Yeah, I'm with the Saints as well, even though their defense has not done much of anything the last 3 or 4 weeks. I don't think it matters because the Giants will give you sacks. They'll give you interceptions, possibly defensive touchdowns with what's going on in the Giants. And so you have to roll with that, D. But as far as offense goes, I mean, New Orleans didn't have much besides Kamara and Jawan Johnson, in my opinion. I like Moreau too, but you got Bud Means is out there trying to make a name for himself, and you have Marquez Valdez-Scantling now, who's a wide receiver 1.
Wouldn't get too excited about all that. Yeah, really. I mean,
so but I still think, and I think we both agree that the Giants just can't score points, and that's really what it comes down to.
Dude, the Giants are no good. They're 2-10 this year. They're no good right now. They got backups playing, and again, not that the Saints are any better. They're 4-8, but they are.
Well, I'm a neighbors owner, so I'll tell you right now. I mean, he gets his targets, but they don't score touchdowns.
Well, apparently, Neighbors doesn't care about dropping the football. Did you hear what he said? He's like, "Yeah, I don't care if I drop the football." Okay, well, that's good.
I don't want to ride him too much. I mean,
well,
I don't want to
get paid to do. Catch the freaking football. What the hell's the matter with you?
I get it, and but I get what he's saying. It's like, so throw it to me again. It's all he's saying.
Fine.
I'm with him.
You don't care if you don't catch the football. Look, I'm not going to hold a 21-year-old kid to his word. It's not that big of a deal.
I think he's a young man, and he said shit that he wasn't thinking first. You know. I mean, so he was just being an asshole and being a smart ass.
He's a kid.
No so all he's saying is like Jamar. It's like, yo, give me the ball every friggin' time. I will show you what I can do. And I agree. In the first 3-4 weeks, that guy was scoring 30 points a game.
Yeah, he was doing pretty good. Well, Daniel Jones is a better quarterback, but he's not there anymore. He's in Minnesota now, ironically. So freaking weird how things work out. All right, next game, really not much to talk about. I don't have anything to say except for the Eagles are at home and they're playing the Panthers. And despite the Panthers playing better, the Eagles are definitely gunning for that number 1 slot. If Detroit loses tonight, I would expect the Eagles to win by 40. But no matter what, I'm taking Philly.
Absolutely taking Philly. I've been taking them all year. You talked about how good they were. I also talked about in the offseason how good they were going to be. And so I'm rolling with Philly. I can't see them losing.
No, I don't think they'll lose this game. Not against Carolina. That would be a real problem.
Yeah, and I dug into it. Chuba Hubbard is good, but he ain't that good. And Jonathan Brooks ain't really getting there yet. He ain't there yet. And so I even looked into Bryce Young's numbers, and if you look, 1 touchdown every game, 1, maybe 2 here and there. But it's just too far between, or whatever it's called. And
but you know what? So much better. It's so much better than what he did before. So we're excited. We're like, all right, maybe Bryce Young can be a quarterback in this league. Maybe Anthony Richardson can be a quarterback in this league. So you know what? They're getting this.
Mac Jones. We talked about that shit a long time ago. I said Mac Jones. If you just give the man some time to learn the game in the NFL, let him develop first. You can't just throw out the guy on the. Making him go out there with the Pats that year was a disaster.
Mac Jones, the one and only. You can't hold me.
I was calling Mac Davis. I always forget his last name.
Mac Davis. All right, we got the Browns and Steelers. We talked about them before. I'm going with the Steelers defense in our freaky fantasy football draft over here. The Browns got the Steelers a few weeks ago. Pittsburgh will not let that happen again. They're going for the highest seeding possible. Give me Pittsburgh all the way. I'm
so disappointed in the Steelers for losing that game, but it's in division. It happens. They know each other, and it happens. So I get it. And when you're in Cleveland, some weird shit happens in Cleveland. We know that.
Jameis Winston is weird too. That's another.
Did you see his little when he was like doing this thing?
Yeah.
On the camera when they're like showing.
Let him have fun. Let him enjoy himself.
And then you got Bo Nix there. Like Bo Nix was like a general in like a war, and it was like totally serious. And then you got Winston like clowning.
Crazy game that was. Didn't see that.
So here's what I say about Winston. Right? Winston's always been Winston, and so Browns don't have anything else to look forward to. And I feel like if I'm a Browns fan, Winston's at least keeping me entertained at this point, man.
There you go.
And I love my wide receivers if I'm a Cleveland Brown as well. So,
Yeah, the ball's coming to you. It may not be accurate, but the ball's coming. May not be accurate. All right, so you like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pittsburgh.
Even though I hate Russell Wilson, I do like Pittsburgh.
Don't hate him. He didn't do anything terrible.
I can't count on that dude, but yeah, I don't hate him. I take that back.
He's a nice guy. He's all right. All right. Let's go to the Pirate Bowl, the Raiders versus the Bucks.
Nice.
All right. The Raiders are garbage. Another 2-10 team this year. Even though they hang in a couple of games, they will fight. That's something they will do for Antonio Pierce. They will fight. But the Bucks are a better team. They got more fight in them. They're home. They're trying to win this division over Atlanta, and this game will go a long way toward doing that.
Like if I'm comparing these two teams, I just feel like the Bucks are stacked compared to the Raiders. Defense isn't amazing, but they got 3 quality running backs. And if you can run the ball with 3 different people, that's disgusting. Because you're going to be able to throw it whenever you want.
And that opens it up for Baker. There's
Bucky questionable, but it's a hip thing, and he's been dealing with all year, so he should be good to go. The problem that I'm seeing is that Evans has not just his hamstring thing acting up right now on Wednesday and Thursday, but also a calf issue that
He's
makes
always
him out of
hurt.
the game, which is a bummer. And so if you're talking fantasy stuff, you can put Mike Evans in there, and he can score a touchdown and have 40 yards, and you may not see him for the next 3 quarters. I just want to warn people about that as far as fantasy.
Maybe a big Cade Otton game. Who knows? Maybe
right. Yeah, I just don't see they're going to put Evans in there, needing him for the playoffs. I'm assuming healthy, that they're going to burn him out in here against Vegas when they don't even need him. Same with Bucky, so I can see and Tucker having a big game.
I don't know that they'll get in as a wild card. That's the thing. They're going to have to win this division, so they're going to have to do whatever it is.
Well, I think they can win that.
No, guys, look, I don't like Atlanta. Again, I like Tampa Bay the whole year to win this division.
You did, and you picked them. I picked Atlanta. I was so excited for Atlanta and all the things that they added and how good they looked, and they blew it. In my opinion,
it was this whole Kirk Cousins thing. I think people got too excited. They're both 6-6, so let's see how the rest of the year plays out. We got 5 games left. All right.
Yeah, but remember, Bucks lost 2 of the 2 best wide receivers for like 3-game stretch there.
They did, and that's when they started figuring out that they could run the ball. That's what happened. They started running.
To be fair to Atlanta, they also should be doing better. So
Atlanta they don't have injuries like that. They should be doing a lot better.
And
they
a great offensive
Robinson.
They had an amazing line.
They got Drake London. They got a bunch of guys. They got Algier. They have a bunch of guys who can play, and that's what Kirk Cousins was brought there to do, to put it all together. And they're 6-6, just like I freaking said they would be. Jaguars, Titans are our next game. Nobody gives a flying fuck about it, so I'm not going to spend much time. Kenny, who do you think is going to win, Jaguars or Titans?
Tennessee.
So do I. I think they're going to win this game at home. Mac Jones, the one and only. He will not do anything. Oh, that's great. My dog has a squeaky toy. Here we go. Next game.
That.
Oh, your game over here. Seahawks and Cardinals. You picked Kyler Murray for your fantasy football draft.
Yeah.
So are you I
took the Cardinals because Seattle won the last one, and it's an in-division game. So I just assume it's going to be a split and not a sweep. That's really what I'm going with.
All right. So you're going with Arizona on this one.
AZ and Kyler Murray.
All right.
And we need that win. We need them to.
Yeah, again, DK Metcalf is a bit of a question right now. I do like Jackson Smith and Jigby. He's really good. The Cardinals, they're just on and off. Like, they could have won that game in Minnesota last week, but they let Minnesota come down and score at the end. So,
I blame the bye week, man, because they were like 4-0 before the bye week. They were rolling, and then you asked them to just go on vacation now.
Dude, they were ahead in this game, like 20-9. They were winning in the fourth quarter. You can't blow a game like that.
Yeah, I don't
know how much I trust them.
It's supposed to make you stronger, not weaker. But I feel like when you're 4-0, you're rolling and you're on a roll and you have a streak, and then they're like, go on vacation for a week. I think that shit ruined everything.
I think I'm going to take the upset in this game, if you want to call it that. I think I'm going to go with Seattle. I don't love this game. I don't think I'm going to touch it on the betting line, but I don't know.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking Kyler because he's my backup, and Jaden is on Buy Mageddon this week. So that's why I'm rolling with AZ, and I got to be confident, and I got to back them. But I hear what you're saying 100%.
You need it to happen, brother. We got a few more NFC West teams coming in here right now. First, we got the Bills and the Rams. The Rams are hosting Buffalo, bro, in this one. What do you think?
Well, even though the Rams were at home, and supposedly the slot receiver, whoever the slot receiver is against the Bills, I heard today that they usually go the F off. And so that's Cooper Kupp. And so that could be a problem. And so can Kyron Williams can be a major problem. And so can Blake Corum, because Buffalo cannot stop the run. And we know this. This is a thing. And so this could be a win for the Rams, but we need the Rams to lose, and so I am picking the Bills.
Yeah, the Rams worry me too much. They didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter against New Orleans last week, and I don't care that the game was in New Orleans. It really doesn't matter to me. You need to go out.
It should have been a lot more scoring. Yeah,
there should have been a lot more scoring. Like I said, they got Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. You got players who can play. The Rams should be better than what they are. Maybe Matthew Stafford getting a little bit older. Their defense isn't as great, but they've been playing kind of better. My boy Jared Verse, who I picked for the Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. I think he might win the thing. But also that guy Fisk, Brandon Fisk, I think his name is, they got over there. The other one who went to Florida State. They're killing it. They're doing a great job.
Braden Fisk. And I think that they traded a pick to move up to get Fisk.
Yeah, I think they were back-to-back or something like, I don't know. Something.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, and I like our draft. Well, being an Niner fan, I do love our draft. They're just not the guys I would have picked. So,
no,
but I do like.
I hear you. Yeah, Ricky Pearsall. I don't know. Where are you?
That's my number one. Where I just didn't agree with that one. I love Ricky. I would love to get
that coming.
Third round.
We could have gone defensive line, offensive line. Either one of that would have been better in my opinion.
D-line, O-line, any one of those I would have taken.
Get too sidetracked over here.
A wide receiver at 31 is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm with Buffalo also. They're the better team. They should win this game. And again, they're trying. If they're one game behind Kansas City, but if Kansas City slips up and loses one game, the Bills got that tiebreaker. So Buffalo's going to be trying to win every damn game from here on out. No doubt about it. Chiefs.
Here's one thing I think and I know is the Chiefs don't give a fuck either. If they're the wild card, they don't give a shit. They do not care. That will not stop them.
Well, there won't be a wild card. They may not get the bye, but you're right. I mean, they didn't have a bye last year. They played Miami in the first round, and they went through, and they ended up beating Baltimore in the AFC.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't like byes. I don't like byes in playoffs. I don't want to have a bye. I want to be fresh. I want to be tired. I want to be sore. Because
ask these players if they want to buy. I bet you every single one of them will tell you, you know what? I'll take the extra week off.
You're 100% right. They would take 3 weeks. But here's the thing. They don't give a fuck if they win or lose. They're millionaires. We care. I promise you they don't give an F. They get paid.
Well, I would hope that some of them do care. That would be god-awful.
I guarantee you some of them do. But you know that some do not give an F. They're there for deals. They're there for money. They're there for contracts. They're there for milestones. They're trying to get bonuses. And this is just a job.
When I see
any given Sunday, LL Cool J.
Super Bowl, you start crying. I don't want to hear that bullshit. There's plenty of players who just want to freaking.
Oh, well, I'm not saying they won't cry when millionaires don't get what they want, but. But listen, these guys, they don't sit around at home like we do. Talking about us, they don't.
No, they don't. They have a lot better things to do with their time, and so do we. In about 10 minutes from now, we're going to watch this game. So we're going to pick a few more games over here. Our game is up now. We are hosting the Bears. I was alluding to I'm going to start Roma Dunze maybe over DK Metcalf if he's not healthy, because I think that Chicago again is better than their 4-8 record. The Niners are 5-7. They have been playing bad football lately. They are hurt all over the place, and it's showing. Dude, I hate to say this, man, but I think that the 49ers are kind of folding right now. No Jordan Mason, no Christian McCaffrey. I'm taking the Bears on the road, dude. I hate to do this, but I think Chicago's actually going to beat us.
I mean, I think that's the smart pick, but I really like Isaac Guerendo. And here's a guy that, he just hasn't been able to play. And he is a force, man. He is a monster. He's Marshawn Lynch big. And he's one of the fastest people in the NFL. He's disgusting.
High praise right there.
So if Isaac can do this, he's only the second person to come out of the draft at his size and speed. That's a fact. And so this dude is ready to go. He never would have played unless everyone else got hurt. That's how we find out who Mason was. The only reason we even know how good Mason is because we had no choice but to play that guy. We're a team that drafts very good running backs. We just can't play them all. Yes, and so I think Isaac is going to go off. He's going to have close to 20 points fantasy-wise. Wow. He's a guy who can catch passes out of the backfield, unlike Mason. If you go check the stats, CMC has more receiving yards than Mason this year. So that lets you know that they don't throw the ball to Mason out of the backfield. But now they can with Guerendo, and they love to do that. And so they couldn't with Mason. So with Mason, it was drive, right up the middle, run, right over you. But he can. But Guerendo can do both. He can catch it out of the backfield, and he can run you over. I really like him.
All right. I think that you should definitely.
And you're also right on the Dunze. I don't think there's any difference if you start DK or Dunze. I think they're going to get you about the same points. And with Metcalf being banged up, them going to the playoffs, they're probably going to hold him out or rest him as much as they can. And same with Evans. And so this week, I'm actually starting Westbrook, the wide receiver 2 behind Ridley in Tennessee this week. So only supposed to get about 7 points, they say, but I don't believe that shit. This guy gets a touchdown or 2 every week.
He's got something like 18 catches and 9 of them are touchdowns.
23, I think it's 23 catches, and he has 9 touchdowns or more, something like that. He's got a touchdown almost every week, and some weeks 2. Problem is he only gets 2 or 3 targets, which is wild.
The ratio is ridiculous. It's the best.
I'm with you. I'm 11-2. I already locked up my position. It doesn't really matter whether I play in first, second, third, or fourth. It doesn't matter to me, right? So we don't have a bye week. We just have 2 weeks of the playoffs. That's it.
Gotcha.
So I'm already in there. And so this week I'm playing Guerendo instead of Achane. Okay. I know how fucking crazy that sounds. I'm doing it. I'm also starting Westbrook instead of Evans. I'm waiting to do this, but possibly putting Mooney in there instead of DK because I can't play DK. I can't play Evans. And Bucky's also questionable. I may just roll with Guerendo Westbrook and like all these waiver wire guys and just see how I do, because these guys are perfectly good players who are just not being carried right now. And I got to play those guys in the next few weeks because it's fourth quadrant and we don't play starters as much.
It can't hurt. I guess like the way that you said, it really doesn't matter. You're in the playoffs. So
yeah, I don't care.
It can't hurt to play them.
Honestly, right now I'm in first place. And so I have to play. Well, here's what's not fair. And I just want to get this out real quick. I know we're on a time schedule here, but I'm tied for first, but I beat the guy in first, but he has like 30 more points than me. So he's first. And I think that's BS because I beat the first place guy. But because I'm in second place, I got to play the third place guy. They're really good. So I'd rather play the guy in fourth. So either I got to go to fourth or I have to take over first. I do not want to play the guy in third. And so right now, this is what I'm doing. I'm thinking, like, do I tank for fourth? Because I can't lose. I can lose every game and still be the fourth place team. So I'm thinking, should I do that so I can play the guy in first who's worse, who I've already beaten? That's some chess shit.
I don't like messing around with that. I don't like messing around with that crap. I try to win every time. I don't care who I'm playing. I don't go for that matchup stuff. I don't know.
Well, the guy in third place, he's beaten me twice this year. The guy is tied with me in first. I've beaten, and he's got Amon-Ra. He's got Montgomery. He's got Garrett Wilson. He's got he's stacked top to bottom. He's got names that these are guys that score 30.
Good guys.
So I'm scared to play him.
First.
But if I just lose every game playing these fourth quadrant guys, I'll find out what I have. And I will also go in fourth place and get to play the guy who I've already beaten once, who's much weaker than the guy in third. Here's another quick thing about fantasy. Yes. You can be really good. You can have great players and you can be smart as hell. But if the team you're playing scores a shitload of points, you can still lose. So what you want in fantasy is to play a team that scores less than you.
That would make a lot of sense. That's correct. I think you did really good in second grade math, Kenny. Very good.
Because it's true. If you go look at your stuff, you know that you only lose when you score like 80 points, right? Yeah, usually, you can get 100 points, you do well. But when you really blow it, that's when you lose. So I've had a couple of teams kind of stink up against me. And so I haven't given up many points, or I haven't faced many points.
All you could do is score the most points you possibly can.
So I can only do what I can.
To do that. I think points will be at a premium in our Sunday night football matchup when the Chargers visit the Chiefs. Again, the Chiefs trying to hang on to that number one spot at 11-1. The Chargers coming in pretty banged up. Don't have much to run with. Don't have much to throw to. Their defense is really good, but is it going to be enough? Kenny, what's your opinion?
I think it's a low-scoring game.
So do I.
I think both defenses do what they need to do. I don't think either team will be able to run very well, and I think the passes will be few and far between. And that's why I actually like Noah Gray in this matchup, because I feel like they're not going to have their eyes on him. They're going to have their eyes on Kelsey. They're going to have their eyes on – there's a lot of guys back.
Well, you should have taken Noah Gray instead of Kelsey in your fantasy.
Freezing up that Noah Gray for, opportunities. Yeah, I feel like I see a little fantasy tunnel vision there. And I was right on the Disley. I picked Disley that week that he went off with 19.
Yes, you did. So, all right. So who wins the game?
I think that the Chiefs win it still, unfortunately. I think just Chargers. I also think the backfield is a little dinged. I'm not saying they're hurt. I'm not saying they're out. I'm just saying they're a little tired. And I've talked about the Chargers D because I have them all year. And I will point out again, they feast on the bad teams and they do good against the very good teams. So I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that when you look at all those sacks, when you look at all those interceptions, those come against New Orleans. And, teams that are just not very good. When they play a great team, they're more like 3 sacks, 1 interception, 20 to 23 points given up. They play a bad team, they'll give you 9 points to 13 points, 7, 8, 9 sacks, 3 interceptions, fumble, force fumble, fumble recovery, defensive touchdown. You're not going to see that against the good teams. So I will say that about the Chargers.
Okay, the Chiefs do what they have to do to win. They're 11-1. They 8-0, 9-0 in one-score games this year, whatever it is. I think that trend continues. It'll be a low-scoring game like last time, something like 17-13. So give me the Chiefs in that one. I'm with you. I agree. So we got one more Monday Night Football before we go to Thursday Night Football, which starts in about 2 minutes, Kenny. So we got my Bengals, who I thought was going to be in the freaking Super Bowl this year.
Me too. I'm not in the Super Bowl, but I thought they'd be very, very good.
Well, Philly is. I'm being saved by Philly because they're doing so well. But anyway, the Bengals offense has been kicking ass, but they get scored on very easily. They're playing in Dallas. It's really funny type of games, man. For some reason, I feel like the Cowboys are going to win, even though they have no business winning this game. I just see something really strange happening in Dallas that night, where maybe Joe Burrow is a little bit off. They get scored on. Cooper Rush has a big game. Maybe Trey Lance comes in and makes a couple of plays. I don't know what it is, but for some dumb reason, I'm going to pick Dallas just to go ahead of the green right there. What do you think?
When you said they're going to put Trey Lance in, my eyes lit up and that I wanted to start Cincinnati's defense, even though they're the worst defense in the league.
Yeah, don't do that.
So really, that's the problem, right? It's the Bengals' defense that's the problem. It sure as hell isn't that they can score. They can score. I feel like they can score when they really want to score. They can score. They'll be able to do it, I think, against the Cowboys, and so I think they'll win this game. But
they're favored.
The Cowboys may have Ferguson back. They will have CD. Rico Dowdle's looking good, and their defense is no slouch, so they certainly could win. What I think is that the Bengals will just outscore them.
Rico Dowdle finally went over 100 yards. I think the Cowboys realized that, you know what, we can run the ball. We can actually probably win a game over here, especially against a defense like this. So control the clock, run the ball. I think Dallas can really pull this one off against a better offense. Clearly, Cincinnati has. Joe Burrow would be in the MVP conversation if they were winning. He was my MVP at the beginning of this year. And again, like Kenny, you said he was your number one quarterback in the league when we did our power rankings a few weeks ago. Yeah. He's fantastic. He's not the problem. Jamar Chase is not the problem. Not even their running game is the problem. They suck at defense. And
they do have Hendrickson, though, and he's number one in sacks.
He's awesome. He's fantastic. And
so they have the number one passer, they have the number one receiver, and they have the number one sacks leader, and they are 4-8.
Yeah, maybe it's time for a new coach. How about that? Maybe.
And look, we know the Bengals well. They lose.
They just lose. They lose, man. I don't know what it is, but they're going to have to figure something out on defense, man. I know they lost a lot of guys, but coaching.
Yeah, somebody said that the other day about the Bengals, and I was like, don't they have a Super Bowl? And someone had to remind me, no, they lose all the time in the Super Bowl. Yeah. We beat them multiple times.
Yeah,
and we probably could have beat them had we snuck into the playoffs when the Rams beat us.
I thought Lou Anarumo was a better defensive coordinator than this. I know that you don't have the players exactly that you may have had a year, 2, or even 3 ago when you were in the Super Bowl, but this is a very, very bad look right now for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to have to fix it going forward. But tonight's game, we're both on the Lions over here, even though I think it's going to be a real close one. The Packers are a good team, man, and if they want any shot at winning this division, they're going to have to win this game tonight. Otherwise, it is over, and the Lions probably clearly got it, Kenny. So, yep, I'm on the Lions in this one. I got the Lions and the under. But I teased it a little bit. I went to 2.5 points instead of the 3.5 that they were favored because that field goal is always a killer, man. It's always coming down to a field goal game. So, again, that's what I expect.
Well, is that what you just said? I may have missed it. Their kicker's on IR.
Who,
the Bengals kicker.
McPherson. Yeah, McPherson's on IR. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah. So I guess I'll be trying to score touchdowns, but maybe that'll help you out. Who knows?
Yeah. So remember, I picked T. Higgins.
That's true. I
like the T. Higgins, and I like the gray. I just feel like they're going to be ignored this week.
All right. I could dig it. Well, again, like I said, I got Higgins on one of my fantasy teams. That's the one I'm clear cutting, but I'll still take the points. I'll be happy with it.
You know, we'll have to add a segment next year where we do somebody who's going nuclear this week, and we'll each pick 2 or 3 fantasy guys.
Yeah. All right.
To go nuclear.
We'll come up with some stuff. Yeah. We only had like maybe 3 days to figure out what we were going to do with the show, and we started like a week before the year started. But anyway. It's been fun, and we're going to keep doing it. We'll be back next Thursday night. I hope you all had fun. We appreciate the comments. McNiner, SF Bay Area Sports, John Jay. What up, man? We appreciate it all out there. What up, Matty Lates? We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Peace.